Hey everybody, sit down around the hearth, grab a frosty mug of ale. Welcome to the Lion's Pride Tavern, where we discuss all things Azeroth. Hey everybody, tonight we talk about our second attempt at Nighthold, and we progress further than last week. So awesome job, guys! Plus, we have about 1,200 listeners this last week, and a new country listening in, Italy.
Woohoo!
Yay! Woo!
Welcome, Italy.
We'll also introduce a couple of new podcast features tonight. So let's start off with introductions. I'm your host, Fafford. I play a Dwarven Beastmaster Hunter in the awesome game World of Warcraft. Next up, we have Joe Bowie.
Hi, I'm Joe Bowie. I play a Worgen Fire Mage.
Next up is Lorelei.
Hi, it's Lorelei, your Night Elf Fury Warrior.
Then there's Epistle.
There is indeed Epistle, your Draenei Protection Paladin.
And Tappuccino is back with us tonight.
Hi, it's Tappuccino, your Restoration Night Elf Druid.
All right, welcome, guys. Welcome. I'm excited to talk about this particular raid this weekend. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to let Joe Bowie talk about how we did on the raid, and then I'm going to go into what happened to me. So, Joe Bowie, how did we do?
Well, just briefly covering it, we did great this week. We made progress on 3 bosses, and we managed to get, we beat Scorpirion, we got through Chromatic Anomaly and Trillax on the first night. We came back and we did Spellblade, and then, my mistake, it was 5 bosses, not 6. And we did Spellblade, Allurial, and then Croesus on the second night. And then we headed off to take a look at Star Augur, but it wasn't really a serious attempt on that. So all in all, a good night. We did a great job.
Yes, we did a fantastic job. And I went to Viva Las Vegas.
Yes, you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, you racked it in.
I finally got a legendary drop. And it's like the second best piece for Beastmaster Hunter. So I was so excited. I jumped up and down. I had a little tear in the corner of my eye, the whole bit.
Well,
Not
we were
only
already
did-
jumped up and down at that point, right? Because we had just
we
down
took
the
a
new
good
boss.
5 minutes celebrating that.
Yeah, that
And
was
now-
pretty exciting for him.
Oh, majorly. And that was on the last boss. Well, not the last boss we attempted, but the last boss we downed. What's his name?
Croesus.
Croesus. Yeah, so it popped right up saying legendary drop. And then I went and looted the boss, and I got my second tier piece drop on the same boss.
It was so good.
Yeah,
And then I got a Warforged ring on the previous boss.
That's awesome, dude. Well, I think you're the first in the raid group that I know of that's got the 2-piece set.
Yeah.
Yes,
Maybe.
Yep.
I don't think anybody has. So I told my wife we're going to Vegas, and she said, "Uh-uh." She goes, "You already ran your luck out with those 3 drops."
Well, she does have a point there, you know.
Cut your losses and enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, I should have bought a lottery ticket. That's what I should have done.
Boy, grats though. Those are great drops.
Oh, man. Yeah,
Deserve it.
I'm thinking to myself, the whole time, because we talked about this last podcast. It's like I have the worst luck, and it's like, do I really have the worst luck, or am I not doing something that allows me to get a legendary drop? And then just out of the blue, I wasn't even expecting it. It was so good, so gratifying.
Very exciting.
Well, I find that that's a lot of the way it is with loot. It's like feast and famine. Where I'll go through a period of time where I just do not get a single piece of loot that's any kind of an upgrade for me, or I get the things that I don't want, and then all of a sudden I'll get a rush of loot that is all upgrades and it's exactly the items I want, and then I'll go into another famine. So
I think that's the way it is with me too. It seems like I always seem like oh, I never get anything, but yet my gear score is pretty good, so I know I must be getting stuff somewhere. And I think it's the same thing. It's like you get a few good pieces, and then you get a dry spell.
So I need to tell you, so we set an item level at 8. What did I set it on Open Raid?
Can we go
865.
865? I think, right?
865, yeah. And I have to admit, when we started Nighthold, I was at 864.
Ooh.
But because
Shame.
I am the one who actually, makes it, I automatically join. So,
Yes.
but by getting my 3 drops in one night, my gear level is now 873.
Oh,
Nice.
that's really
Wow.
great.
Big jump.
I mean, it replaced some of the gear that I've been just they're like 850s, I think, and it's like, oh, why can't I get another piece of gear for that? And bam, 940.
So maybe we should
all
say
have to
it's
cheer.
865, unless you're enormously unlucky and have no, orange drops yet.
I gotta say, like, the one thing that happened for me gear wise in this particular raid was I got a new relic, which finally put my artifact weapon over 900 item level, which is I was sitting at 899,
Yeah.
898 for so long, and
I'm
then
899.
I finally got it, and I was like, yes, I'm over 900. Woohoo!
All right, I don't want to rain on your parade, but when I said before we were talking, before we started recording, I said, God, there's one more thing I got. That's what it was. I got another piece for my weapon. So I did get 4 things that night because I had an 850 item level on my Titan Strike, and my item level is now 895 because it was like an 885, I think, something like that. I'd have to log on to look, but oh wait, no, there we go. So I had, yeah, it was an 875 heroic. No, that was for Renful. There it was. It's an 87. Yeah, it was an 875, and I got it off Spellblade. So
Yeah,
I got my
that.
ring and the Arcana Crux.
Yeah,
Is that the one you got?
no, the relic that I picked up was I think it was off that same boss that we got the relic, but the mine ended up Titan forging to 895, which I was like, oh, a
Ooh.
relic, it's 895, dig that.
And you got it off Spellblade?
Yeah, I think that's the one that I got the relic off of was Spellblade.
Yeah, that's
No, it was actually, I think it was, no, it was on the first night. It was off of one of the other bosses because the Spellblade, that's the one where I got the 920 bracers that I can't use because I've got the legendary bracers.
yeah. I got the Warforged ring on Spellblade, and then I got the relic, which was just an 875 relic, but I got off Spellblade also. So uh, then the next boss right after Spellblade was Cruxus. Cruxus? Why do I keep saying Cruxus?
Croesus.
Croesus. Where did I get Cruxus?
I had
You're
no
hoping
idea what
we'll
you're talking
correct our errors.
No, Cruxus is from it's a movie it's a series on HBO where they're gladiators and they're fighting. And Cruxus is like one of the top gladiator guys. But anyway, that's where I'm getting at. But Croesus, yeah, then Croesus I get, not only do I get my my legendary, I get my chest, my tier piece. So yeah, lucky.
Now, have we gotten ahead of ourselves in terms of what we actually got down this weekend?
Well, I think Joe Bowie talked about it all. What did we not get down?
Well, we started on Star Augur, but that was pretty late into our run that night, so we just got a chance to see it. But
I think we were kind of surprised that we got there.
Yeah. Oh,
In general, I think
yeah.
we got there. We're like, wow, this boss. We didn't look at her or him because I really expect have to fight him.
I never expected to get past Croesus, so I didn't do any research on the next boss at all. And I know Durag didn't. because he figured we'd struggle on Croesus, but we
So
actually did a really good job.
we had a little tank crash course 2-minute video sessions during the breaks. That's for sure.
Well, my hat's off to Tensoon because he really helped out by because what's the YouTube place, Joe Bowie? What's that one called?
Line of sight.
Line of Sight Gaming. So I'm watching a Line of Sight Gaming video as everybody's filtering in, and I'm going, oh my God, there's so much to this fight. How am I going to explain this? And then Tensoon goes, no, you don't have to have the tank run to each group. Have the group run to the tank. And it was like, hey, that worked out pretty good, actually. I thought it was a simpler one.
I honestly, I'm not 100% convinced on that strategy yet. I kind of like the idea of the tank running to the group, simply because that's less people that have to work on that mechanic and get it right. So with the tank running to the group, the DPS groups are just stacked in groups. There's 3 different groups, and if the tank runs to each one of the groups, that's only one person that has to think about that mechanic, as opposed to 9 people that have to think about that mechanic and get it right. So there's a lot more margin for error if you hand it off to the healers and DPS and stuff like that to move at the right times. And there's also the delay of the tank has to call for it, say, hey, come do this. So there's a bit of a time delay. So I'm not 100% convinced that that's the right strategy for us, but that was also our first poll, our first attempt. So there's a lot to go on that one.
Yeah, it gets very smooth once the tanks realize, here's what's going to happen. I need to call it, just a second. And if you only really need the 3 DPS for each group. So we don't in our guild have the range to even bother with it. You just step over and you step back. So it really does go very smooth once you get the hang of it and once you see what to do.
So you're talking about the melee DPS,
Yeah,
actually.
we just use the melee because they're standing right there, and you just take a step forward and you take a step back.
Huh. Okay.
That's
You put your right melee in, you put your right melee
Yeah,
out.
we do. We do some shaking.
Yep, don't forget to do the shaking.
Well, I'm very proud of everybody because we did that was amazing in a 2-night deal. We've got all the way to this will be the 6th boss in just 2 weekends, of it being open.
And just to clarify for our listeners, we only really raid for about 2 hours per night. So this isn't like some of those 3 or 4 hour raids or anything like that. We're pushing through these in about 2 hours per night. So a total of 4 hours of raiding per week, really.
Correct. Yeah. So, and then once we get to that certain point, we'll do a lockout of the first few bosses. What we basically do is once everybody starts passing gear on the first few bosses, we go, okay, the first few bosses are useless because nobody's getting any gear. Everybody's going, yeah, I already got it, or nobody needs it. I'm just going to DE it, So we put a raid lockout from there and then progress through the rest of the bosses. And we have 10, right, on Nighthold?
Yeah, I think there's 10 bosses in Nighthold total.
Lots to keep us busy for a while.
Lorelei, how far is your other group? How far are they into Nighthold?
We are working on Elisande right now. So we've cleared everything up to her. And we didn't have too much time when we finally got to her. We just had a couple of attempts, and then most of us hadn't taken time to look at it. So we have got to go back and look at it and get some things down, and we'll hopefully get her down this week and go on to Gul'dan by Thursday.
No, so what number? Because after the 4th boss, we found out, after you get through Spellblade, you can go in any direction you want. So how many bosses is that down for your group?
8.
8. Okay, so you got 2 more. Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, they're into the last 2 are linear again. Once you finish those 4, then you do the Elisande or whatever it is, the one they're working on, and then you go on finally to Gul'dan after that.
Okay, yeah, you had mentioned that. Yeah, it's like the first 4 bosses are linear, then there's 4 more that you can do in any order, and then the last 2 are in order. Yep. All right. Well, I just wanted to keep talking about my legendary drop.
Yeah.
But we need to get a little bit of stuff out. So if you guys are looking to listen to this podcast, you found it one way or another, but there are several other ways to find it. One of them is through Podomatic.com, and the website is lionspridetavern.podomatic.com. You can also find us on iTunes and Google Play. Just do a search for Lions Pride Tavern podcast, and it should come right up. If you have any questions or comments, we love comments and questions from our listeners. You can leave them on our YouTube site underneath the video, and you can search that by searching World of Warcraft Lions Pride Tavern podcast, and it should be, one of the videos come up. And we're on this would be episode 22, guys. 22 episodes. Nice
Wow.
job.
Doesn't seem that long.
I know, right? You can leave comments on the YouTube video, and if you watch the YouTube video and that's the way you listen to it, we have Donna Bell, our featured digital artist. She does a digital rendition. It's called speed painting. She does one of our tunes. We send her snapshots of our characters, and then in different poses or whatever, and then she draws them up as the podcast is going, so you can see how an artist actually does their thing when they're painting. Or you can just simply email us at lionspridetavern@yahoo.com, and I will get that question on the air for the next podcast. So awesome job, and we love to hear questions. So I mentioned in our opening that we have a couple of new podcast features we're going to try out, and one of them, and I'll have to add some music to this, is Lorelei's Pet Battle Minute. So Lorelei, she's our local pet battle expert, because out of all the people that raid with us, I think she has like 6,000 pets.
Yeah, I have a pet problem.
Do you have a pet problem?
I do.
Do you see a pet psychiatrist for that?
There is one around here somewhere.
Crazy pet lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy
So,
cat lady.
Yeah, just talk about whatever you want about pet battles. Maybe your favorite pet battle or your most exciting pet battle, or how you got to where you got to so many pets.
Sure. You can start your pet battling career or obsession or whatever you want to call it by getting your faction pets and setting up a team of 3 pets. I started out with the Hygel bear and a crab, and what was my other one? Well, it was one other one, and I used them to pretty much level up all the pets that I had at the time before Cataclysm, or around Cataclysm, before Draenor came out. And there are little pet battle masters all over the place. You just need to find those and level your pets up that way. I used to get started, to find out about it, I went to warcraftpets.com, and they have an excellent website where you can find the pets that you need, the pets that you want, where they are, if there's special pets that show up at special times. And it also gives you any kind of tips and what are the best pets to get. I also use a YouTuber named Hazel Nutty, and she shows you pet battles and the best pets that she's found, and if you can 2-pet the battle, or if you can have to use all 3 pets. That way you can level a pet up very quickly if you only need 2 pets. And that's how I started off. I started off in Goldshire and worked my way around there and killed off every rabbit I could find and every deer and leveled all my pets up. And I still go back to my garrison because that's a really good place just to put in a leveling pet every now and then. Pandaria is still an excellent place to go once you get your teams up. But you need to get a variety of pets. I started off with just 3 basic pets. Usually what I did is once I got 2 of them to 25, then I would throw in a pet I wanted to level, because your pets, as you battle, will share the experience points that they gain. And if it's the 25, if they're at 25, they don't get any experience. It all goes to your leveling pet. So that's a good way to start out. Just start small, kill the little things around your starting city, and when you get them to 25, and they get to 25 pretty quickly if you go through all the zones and the different pet battles.
Awesome. Fantastic. So our other podcast feature is Joe Bowie's Transmog Minute.
Yeah, so transmogging. I've always been one of those players, and it's probably due to the fact that I'm an artist that really wants to like look cool while I'm doing stuff in WoW. And I remember the days back before they came out with the transmog. I think it was Cataclysm when you couldn't transmog. It was just I don't remember if it was a patch during Cataclysm or if it was when Mists of Pandaria came out that we got the ability to transmog. But when it came out, I was extremely excited because I hated running around with mismatch outfits. The way I usually transmog my tunes is I think about, uh, first of all, what tune that is. Is it, if I'm playing a hunter, or a specific type of hunter, or a mage, like a fire mage or a frost mage, or, whatever the class and spec is, I try and think about something that might be fitting for that particular class and spec. Or sometimes it'll change a little bit on that and it'll be mostly based around a single item. But what I basically do is I pick a theme for each of those tunes and then I start looking for the pieces of gear that fit that theme, or that color theme, or that match a particular item that I really like. Like if you have a weapon transmog you really like, or a shoulder transmog that you're particularly fond of, then I'll go through things like, I've used Mogget, which is a great add-on for looking at transmogs. I really like the in-game collections system now, because you can look at the different sections and it'll show you what you already have, and it'll show you things that you don't have that are equipable by your character, and that's a really great way to go through and find things that will match your outfit. And of course, at this point in the game, I'm finding that Mists of Pandaria content, like all the way up to at least heroic, is very doable by a decently geared tune. I've taken many of my tunes through some of the Mists of Pandaria raids, even at like 25 player heroic, and completed them to get transmog items I want. But there's a certain sense of satisfaction once you get a really cool looking tune. And it's kind of funny. I'll just be standing around in my class hall and, I'm looking something up on the web or whatever, and then I'll just get a whisper from somebody that says, "Oh, that's a awesome transmog," or "I love your transmog," or "Where did you get that piece?" And I just think it's a really nice way to enjoy the game a little bit more, is if you look cool while doing it.
Yeah, awesome.
I was
All
just
right.
looking back and I noticed, if no one knows, Transmog first came out in World of Warcraft patch 4.3, which was the Hour of Twilight, Dragon Soul, that time.
Oh, so it was the end of Cataclysm when that came out.
Yep.
Yeah, because I actually remember I was maining my warrior at the time, and he had gotten I was collecting the Dragon Soul armor, and I had a complete set of the normal armor, and then we started working on the mythic, because at the time there was no heroic, there was just normal or mythic, and I started getting pieces of the mythic armor, but they were a different color and mismatched my outfit. So what I found myself doing was equipping that stuff for when I went raiding, but when I was just out running around in the world, I was switching back to my old normal gear just so that my outfit matched.
See, I have to admit, I do on my mage. It's a female. I do go transmog her stuff because I got to make her look sexy.
Cappuccino has a pair of dark sunglasses. I don't know where I got them, but they look so cool. And one night I'm playing, I'm like, wait a minute, those aren't my dark sunglasses. I had to get my transmog mount out and switch my headgear so that I would be showing my dark sunglasses.
You know, and while I know that there's lots of sets out there that are like pre-made sets by Blizzard, you know, do some experimentation, because sometimes I've found that, well, you know, like if you mix and match pieces, it can end up looking significantly cooler than the originally created sets that are supposed to go together. You know, and you know, I'll control click to look in my what they call the dressing room in WoW to look and see how are those items going to look on my character compared to the others. Do the colors match up and that kind of thing. And also remember, there a lot of times there's different color variants for heroic, mythic, normal, even LFR. You know, and you can even do old LFR content still. Like for Miss Pandaria, you can go there and you can talk to, I think, the lore master, and he'll send you into the old LFR, so you can go and solo those if you want. And Blizzard has even gone so far as to modify some of the mechanics of some of those old raids, like Siege of Orgrimmar, where you would get to the land, you know, and there's those two towers that you used to have two people at least to complete it, because you really couldn't complete it with one. In fact, Fafford came and helped me get a transmog for one of my tunes doing that old LFR, because I wanted the green bow for my hunter. And they've made it so now you can solo that. So most of that older content is soloable by pretty much anybody if you're 110. So just keep in mind that those pieces of gear are still available. You can do them.
It's
Yeah.
so nice too the way they have it that even now you get gear, you end up you don't use it or can't use it, and you sell it, but you still see that appearance goes into your transmog like wardrobe.
Yet there is a note on that though that I should put out there, which is the if you get a piece of gear on one tune, like let's say you have a paladin and you have a warrior, and you pick up a piece of gear that either one of them could wear because they both wear plate. But if that gear is still able to be sold back to the vendor and it's got some blue text on it, or if it's tradable to another player, then let's say you got it on your paladin, but you want to wear it on your warrior won't see that in the transmog library until that item is either destroyed or sold to a vendor, or the time has run out on whether or not it can be traded to another player. So just keep that in mind, that if you want it to show up on another tune, it needs to be non-tradable at all.
Oh, so that means if I disenchant something, I'm not going to lose it. I was always nervous about disenchanting something if I wanted to use it for transmog.
Yeah, disenchanting is a great way of getting it into your library for your other tunes right away, especially for items that are sell back to vendor, because you can't really sell those, because if you sell it back to the vendor, you actually lose the transmog, because it's still redeemable for 100% of what you paid for it. So the only way to get those to another tune would be to either destroy it or to disenchant it. So yeah, just keep that in mind. If it's not showing up for another tune, it's probably still tradable or still refundable to a vendor.
That's a good point.
Now, if you have somebody that is a cloth wearer and they disenchant a plate, it's not going to show up on theirs.
No,
Okay.
Unfortunately, and I wish Blizzard would change this. You have to collect it by a character that it's kind of designed for. For an example, I could take my warrior who can wear plate, mail, cloth. He can wear anything. He's got the ability to wear any of that gear. But the only gear that gets put into the transmog library while he's collecting it is plate gear. So if I get a piece of cloth gear that would look awesome on my mage while I'm playing my warrior, well, I'm out of luck. I have to get it on one of my clothies in order for it to get added to my transmog library, which is unfortunate. Now, weapons, on the other hand, any weapon, for the most part, with the exception of wands, which almost nobody uses anymore, can be picked up by a warrior, for an example, who has proficiency in every weapon class. So if you're looking for weapon transmogs, a warrior is a really great choice for going to look for transmogs.
Yeah, and I want to say that about Blizzard because, I played a mage, and I think mages should have wands. I mean, yeah, staves, I get it. Gandalf had a staff and all those other, high mucky muck wizards. But, you know, when you start off, you start off with a wand like Harry Potter. He doesn't get a staff. He gets a wand.
You know, I think the wands fell out of out of uh, out of popularity a little bit because they kept making them so they actually hadn't like a shooting attack, but it was terribly weak and it was pretty much useless. I don't recall the last time that I sat there and auto attacked with a wand from distance. Um, maybe in vanilla, but
I think I was shooting chickens the last time.
yeah,
See, I
jeez.
think
Just
Started
turkeys.
a lot of
It was
pulls by
it was-
mistake.
No, wait,
Yeah,
it
it's,
was
Blizzard-
it's World
turkeys.
Quest. It's World Quests because they have that World Quest in Zuna where you have to go into that temple and shoot the dummies with a wand. The wand practice.
yeah, that was how Blizzard staved off all the criticism.
Yeah, and then of course Khadgar. Well, even at the end of that, Khadgar says he's like, well, because the mission is you're supposed to go in there to learn some new technique that might be useful, against the Legion. And then you go in there and you shoot some dummies with your wand, and then afterwards Khadgar's like, that wasn't really what I was expecting, but okay.
Oh, you couldn't really aim the wand. You had to point to it, like kind of point your body towards the target, and sometimes it missed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry about making my minute 5-10 minutes.
No, that's all right. No, that was good because that was a lot of good information there. Absolutely. So Saturday was the Lunar New Year, the official real world Lunar New Year. And did you guys know that the Lunar Festival is going on right now?
I didn't
Yes, I
realize they
did.
timed that up with that.
Yeah, so it started January 21st and it goes to February 4th. And that's the festival where you get the coins of ancestry and you go to Moonglade and all that. You get the fireworks and the lanterns.
Lucky packets too.
What I didn't know, and I really wished I would have because I would have had us do this a long time ago, is that they have, because of Pandaria, I'm sure, you can go purchase dragon head costume, dragon body costume, and dragon tail costume. And then one person puts on a head, one person puts on a tail, and then you get a whole bunch of people in between that puts on the body, and you make a big long dragon.
Oh, that would have been a blast.
Well, you can still do it.
Yeah.
You got till February 4th. I'm thinking our raid group needs to get out there. When this goes on, this publishes Monday, after Monday, head on out there and figure out how to get the dragon head costumes. And we should do that.
Ooh.
And we could do a new
Ready to start up a
ritual.
raid.
Yeah. A new ritual, standing out there by the stone and everybody gets in their dragon costume and lines up and you got this big serpentine dragon. I think that would be cool. I mean, we do the Care Bear stare now, so we can't look any stupider.
I'm kind of feeling like this week after Fafford got all of his gear, he wanted to transmog something. He asked if anybody had a transmog mount, and practically most of the raid pulled out their transmog mount. So we had a whole herd of transmog mounts, and he started trying to transmog. And then I suggested, well, we should probably all run around in circles so we can't actually do it.
So I was trying to use a Pistol's transmog mount, and he kept stepping forward, and it would kick me out. And then I'd move forward, and I'd do it again, and he'd step forward, and I'd get kicked out. And I was like, stop moving, and everybody starts running around in a circle. It was hilarious.
It was great, man. We had a whole herd of transmog mounts all running around in a circle on Nighthold.
Yeah, that's
Pretty happy.
because the legendary look of my belt it's terrible. I mean, it's a legendary. It should be like sparkling and gleaming and spikes and all sorts of cool stuff, and it's just this flat green thing. It's like,
Speaking of that, yeah, that's something that I felt is kind of disappointing about this whole legendary thing. I mean, they're legendary stuff. They should look legendary, but if I'm not mistaken, every single legendary that you can get that has a visual appearance is actually a duplicate of another item that is accessible in the game somewhere else. None of them are original pieces of artwork. They're all just rehashes of old gear.
Interesting, yeah. Because I mean, I'm thinking, legendary. Yeah, it looks terrible.
Like for example, my headpiece that I just got, that one is there's a I think it's from Black or not Black Rock Foundry. Uh, it's from an older raid in the Black Temple, I think. From I think that's from Legion or Burning Legion, I think is when that came out, or maybe
Burning
it's from
Crusades.
Vanilla. Burning Crusades, yeah, Burning Crusades, but it's just these little. It's that one that's like 5 little glowy rocks that circle around on your head, and the same exact transmog look is available from that old raid. So and every other piece that I've seen comes from somewhere else.
Interesting. Yeah, I just expected, being this is my first and only legendary item, I expected it to be really cool, and I was disappointed, but I was really happy that I got one finally after I'm like the last person out of 30 people that I raid with that got one. People are going, "Oh, I've only got 7." Nice. Okay, I don't have one. Well, I take that back. And I've got to
Do.
apologize. Niobe doesn't have one yet either.
Oh
Oh, really?
no.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
Yeah, I
so
knew
Mommy
about
Fortuna
that.
just yelled down, "No, he got his today, but it's the
Ah.
wrong spec."
Oh, that's
Oh
right.
Oh
no,
no.
he had the wrong spec
Yeah.
put in there. Oh,
He
jeez.
had, I think, his tank spec on when he got it.
Oh no.
That's an old story that was back when people were like really clamoring over legendaries and very few people had them. That was a story that was happening with a lot of people. They would change their loot spec for something, and then they would go do just some small piece of content while they had their loot spec changed to something they don't normally play, and then they would of course get a legendary that was specific to that spec.
Yeah. So speaking of stories, does anybody have a World of Warcraft newbie story? We'll start off with who wants we'll just let somebody shout out. Who wants to go first?
I will.
All right.
My not big newbie story, but when I first started playing World of Warcraft, you're going around and you're exploring the city, and it's so cool, and like you're kind of walking down the street, and you don't want to like bump into someone, even though you go right through them now, but you go around, and I went into the bank, and I'm checking out the bank, and I'm like, oh look, I can make a fire, and I started a fire in the bank, and I'm like, oh my god, is somebody gonna like say something because I started the fire in the bank? I just for quick food. And I'm looking at people, but no one's like here, and I'm like, okay, but I was like so nervous, like, oh my god, I just started a fire in the bank. I just didn't know. Like now, I don't care. I'll start a fire and anywhere I want as long as it's not in water and cook whatever I feel like it.
Nice.
Yeah, at the time, I'm like, oh no.
How about a pistol? You got a newbie story?
Oh, I'm sure I do. I remember I was playing my druid for the first time, and I was getting up around level 20 or so, I think it was, and I was running around Ashen Vale, and I figured out I could dash, and I ended up leaping off the side of a hill, and then getting wedged in. If you remember the map, there's all kinds of little problems in there, and so I kind of got stuck in this little thing. And then I had what I would call Warcraft claustrophobia. It's like I couldn't get out. I tried hopping. I tried everything I could. And I started panicking. And of course, I started chatting in guild chat about how stuck I am. And I get the basic kind of advice as to what you should do. And I'm feeling like, oh no, do I need to contact the game? I'll never get out of here. And of course, somebody in guild says, so is your hearth up yet?
Aw.
And I'm like, oh, right.
I think mine comes from back in vanilla. I was playing a fire mage and I was wandering around in I think Uldum, and I saw this. I saw a PvP battle happening between some Horde player and an Alliance player, and there was this pitched battle, and it was really, really close. And the Horde player ended up killing the Alliance player, and I was just standing on this hill nearby watching. So I thought, well, that wasn't very nice. I felt like I needed to defend that Alliance player, so I whipped up a pyroblast and cast it down at the guy as he was just sitting down to eat to restore his health, and it hit him and it killed him. And I was like, yeah, you avenged that other Alliance player. And then the guy came back a moment later, and then he proceeded to kill me. And then as soon as I resurrected, he killed me again. He killed me again. So I got killed
Those
a
are
number
bad
of
days
times.
of that happening.
Yeah, he just was hanging out by my corpse and waiting for me to resurrect, and then would kill me as soon as I resurrected. And then eventually I just sat there dead as a spirit, waiting for him to get bored and go away. And then I was able to resurrect and get back to playing.
I got one very close to that. So me and Mommy found this new guild. It was called Organization 13. It was on another realm, and we're raiding. And when you're raiding, you can cross realm raid. And we met him, and he's like, "Oh, you guys should come over to our realm and make a character. We'll give you everything you need." And we're like, "Yeah, whatever. Okay, we'll do that." So we went over there and we made a couple of characters. So we're leveling them up out of Stormwind, and we get over to Westfall, and the little farm right there, you go through your first starting when you get into Westfall, and then you end up at the farm right before you go to the, it's not really a city, but a town. So we're at that farm where you got to go out into the field and gather stuff. We did all that, and we're coming back, and this dang Horde rogue was invisible and kept killing the quest giver that we had to turn into. And we were like, so we'd wait. And then it finally respawned, and we're like, all right, go to turn it in. Boom, he'd kill him again. And he did this like 6 times. And we were like, all right, this guy's deliberately doing this because we're standing here trying to advance our quest line. So I, just out of curiosity, I was just in guild chat, and we were just chatting with everybody, and I was like, this dang Horde, he keeps killing the quest giver. And they're like, where's he at? And the whole guild, I'm talking 30-some people, flew over on their mounts, and they stayed up in the air until he appeared to kill the quest giver, and they just flew down and pounced on him and just mopped him up. And he did the same thing. He came back once, and they mopped him up again, and then he just disappeared. Never came back.
Nice.
Yeah, they
It was-
loved Sentinel Hill. God,
Yeah.
they'd kill the flight path guy, and then the people, the quest givers up at the tower. It was just horrible trying to quest there.
So Lorelei, you got a newbie story?
I do. I've already told my silly story of falling off the world and just panicking and thinking I was forever out of the game. But my little weird story is, I don't know what it is. My alts attract people who want to just give them guilds. Just about every alt I have was given a guild.
Given a guild?
Yeah. When I first started playing my mage, I'd set that character up just to get a friend in and help run through some starting areas. She was a gnome, and I was over at Karanos, and I was just standing in the road, and somebody whispers me there and says, do you want 100 gold? And I'm like, what? Because it's like 100 gold. So I got 100 gold from that person who said they were just getting rid of all their stuff. And then I met somebody else just questing around, and you get to talking, and they help you, and got me into a guild and said, hey, I'm leaving. Why don't you just keep the guild? So
Wow.
I've had about 4 or 5 guilds.
Wow.
Yeah. It's great.
That's-
I have like unlimited bank storage.
Yeah, no
Nice.
kidding, right?
So be nice. People will give you guilds.
I'd give you a guild because you're really nice. All right, so Pathfinder. I read that with the new patch 7.2, so which is not slated to come out till August. Isn't that what you said, Jubilee?
No, April or May.
April or
sometime.
May.
Yeah,
Still too far away.
About 2 or 3 months late spring 2017 is when it's allegedly going to come out.
Yeah. But the news, what it says is get ready now, start now, because if you haven't started, you've got a lot of work to do. So
Yeah.
you've got to do, what you got to do all your reputations, and the hardest one is the Suramar.
Well, there's some debate about that. I would say that the hardest one is actually the Wardens, because there is no quest line that gives you Warden reputation. You can only get Warden reputation from doing world quests. So when the Kirin Tor emissary quest comes up, that's a great way to get a chunk of Warden reputation. Also, any of the boss-like ones that are in the world are a good way to get Warden reputation, because those are always Warden. But you need Exalted with Nighthold too. So that's another one that you need more reputation with Nighthold, but there is more reputation available for Nighthold as well.
So
Or Nightfallen.
Nightfallen, yeah. Nighthold, that's what I was just going to say. But I thought you had to be revered in all of them. You have to be exalted with Nightfallen, no?
Yeah, because if you're not exalted with Nightfallen, then you don't unlock all of the quest lines in Suramar. Basically, like, as you're going through and getting more and more reputation with the Nightfallen, more and more of the quest lines that are required in order to get the Lore Master of Suramar don't unlock until your reputation gets high enough with the Nightfallen. So you have to keep increasing that all the way to Exalted before you'll finish the quest line and complete the Lore Master of Suramar.
Okay. All right. So you have to complete, it's the achievement Pathfinder Broken Isles Pathfinder Part 1. That's the actual name of the achievement you have to have done. You have to have it complete prior to patch 7.2. And I heard there's supposed to be a Part 2 to that Pathfinder once 7.2 comes out.
Yeah. Now you can complete it after 7.2 comes out. You don't have to have it done by then, but it's not a bad idea to get it done by then. Yeah, it's just, like there's a lot of parts to it. And when 7.2 comes out, I hear that if you've completed Pathfinder Part 1, then most of the new achievements that you're going to need to complete are going to take place in the Broken Shore, which is going to be the new area that it's going to unlock in 7.2.
Well, because just to complete Pathfinder Part 1, you have to complete Broken Isles Explorer, which means you have to explore all the regions. You have to complete 100 different world quests with variety as a spice of life. You also have to complete a glorious campaign, which is to complete your Class Hall Order campaign. You have to have Lore Masters of Legion, which is the
all the quests in each zone. Basically, all the main story quests.
Yeah, the main.
Yeah, all the main.
Lines, yeah.
Yeah, it's not all quests in each zone. You can leave some, but you have to complete all of. And there's a little thing on your map. Like if you pull up your map and you're in a zone, and you'll see in that zone on the list on the right hand side on your map, if you've got the list open, it'll say like Valshara, and it'll say story progress, 5 of 7 chapters completed, and you need 7 of 7 chapters completed in order to get Lore Master in that zone. And the same is true for every other zone.
Yeah. And then there's Broken Isle Diplomat, which is the one we were just talking about.
Yeah, that
was to earn revered in all the reputations.
Mm-hmm. With it, and it's kind of misleading because you think, oh, I'll get revered in every reputation, and then my Lore Master will, or then I'll have the Pathfinder Part 1 completed. But you, like I said, the one exception to that is you need Exalted in Nightfallen as well in order to complete the whole thing.
Yeah, so I mean, just the Lore Master, the Glorious Campaign, 100 World Quests isn't too bad because once you start going out there, it's probably not that difficult to get that. Explore all the areas of the Broken Isles. I mean, that includes the islands that are way out there. You got to run out there and explore those too. So, and you can't fly around to get them. You got to run to it. You got to, use your water strider because that seems like the vehicle of choice. If that's what you guys get. I mean, do you think it's the vehicle of choice?
Well, for crossing water, yeah,
Yeah.
that's almost an essential mount for most people to have, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing that's important to note, by the way, that this is account wide. So once you've completed this stuff on one of your tunes, you don't have to complete it on any other tune. All of your tunes will get the benefit. And the benefit, by the way, for Pathfinder Part 1 is a 20% mount speed increase while in the Broken Isles. So that's a nice thing to have just for your alts in general, just to get around to your quests a little bit faster.
Right, but just so they understand, in order to do each one of these, it has to be done with the same tune. Because one tune has to get all of Pathfinder Part 1. So if you start running around with multiple tunes and thinking, oh, well, I got one tune that's got this Explored for Broken Isles Explorer, and I got another tune that's got that, it doesn't work that way. One tune has to have the whole thing of Broken Isles Explorer. So it's best to do it all on one tune.
Yeah, usually just do it on your main is what I would recommend, and then your alts will get the benefit later.
Yeah.
Now, one really cool thing about 7.2 with getting flying in Legion is that they are coming out with class and spec specific mounts for everybody. So we, like, for fire mages will get their specific mount, arcane mages get a specific mount, frost mages get a specific mount, and the same is true for every other class and spec, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Although we're getting like a flying frisbee as mages. It's not as cool as some of the other mounts.
Oh, I know. I don't like the warrior
disc?
one either.
I mean, it's not that I don't like it, because, I mean, the red flying cloud from Miss Pandaria is one of my favorite mounts because I kind of like minimalist mounts to a certain extent, but it just felt like, they could have gone a little bit further with it. At least it has, like, with the fire one, it's got like fiery balls. It's got like 3 little fiery balls on the edges of this flying disc. And like the arcane one has purpley balls, and the frost one has little frosty balls on there. So it's a all right mount, but some of the mounts look really cool. Some of the mounts not so much.
Yeah, see, I was really disappointed when the only person that could have the flying carpet was a tailorer.
Yeah.
The one I've always wanted is the broomstick. I just want the broomstick for an all-year kind of thing. Yep.
Yeah.
Let me get it and let me use it on any tune that I want, any time of the year, because I would probably use that on most of my tunes if I could.
I always wanted the helicopter.
Yeah, me too. I've got the rocket, but I got that because I got somebody to join WoW, and it's a 2-seater.
Yeah, the helicopter is so much cooler.
Which helicopter?
The engineering mount.
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, that's a pretty cool one.
Just fun.
The engineers get a lot of pretty neat stuff in general. They seem to like give engineers like some pretty cool exclusive stuff. Even like I remember in Miss Pandaria, like engineering specific access to the auction house in the main in the shrine, that they were the only ones that had access to that there.
Cool. Well, guys, we've reached our time, so I want to thank you all for coming and giving us your opinions tonight. And hopefully we'll get some really good questions this week. Let's see. What do we got opening up on Tuesday? We've got Raid Finder, the second set of 3 bosses opening up. And
yep. It'd be Spellblade, Alluriel, Tichondrius, and Croesus, I believe, will be the next 3 that come up this week. That'll make 6 bosses available for LFR.
Yeah, so if you're not getting your tier pieces, LFR is a good way to get them. Unless you're as lucky as me. Oh, sorry.
Right. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for coming. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
See you guys.
Thank you all. See you later.
If you like this podcast, throw us a like and subscribe to our channel. And please, leave comments or questions below. Maybe we'll answer them on the air next podcast. We are hosted on Podomatic.com. Our website is lionsprideTavern.podomatic.com. Our podcast also airs on iTunes for Apple users, Google Play for Androids, and YouTube. Just search World of Warcraft Lions Pride Tavern Podcast. See you next week, and thanks for listening.